Hello, all. Uh, I'm out here on the porch. It's a beautiful summer day, finally. Seems like it was a very long winter, but it's over. I wanted to do a video on one of the iconic punk concerts that I actually got to see, which was The Clash in 1979 at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco. You might recognize that stadium as the one where in Dirty Harry, where Harry chases down Scorpio and steps on his wound after he shot him in the leg. And that stadium actually no longer exists. It was torn down in I believe, the 1990s. But it was a good concert. I was at the time. I was in my sophomore year of college. I had switched from Southampton College in Long Island to San Francisco State University, which ironically is not in San Francisco, it's in Daly City. My roommate Dave Scott and I both liked the Clash's second album, Give 'Em Enough Rope, and we heard that the concert was happening, and we decided to go. To tell you the difference in ticket prices between then and now, I think the ticket was $4. And granted, it was the nosebleed seats, but it was still a great show. We still got to hear everything and see everything. The opening bands were the Cramps and the Dead Kennedys, so you can tell it was a really great show. That said, there was a kind of funny, sort of Spinal Tap-ish thing that happened. After the Cramps and the Dead Kennedys had played, we had to wait for almost an hour because the Clash's limousine driver couldn't find the stadium. And finally they arrived. And it was a terrific show. I believe they opened the set with Tommy Gun, which is from Give 'Em Enough Rope, and they ended with White Riot, which is one of my favorite Clash songs. Aside from the Sex Pistols, and I think you can see I'm wearing my Sex Pistols tour t-shirt from when I saw them in 2003. It's just the cover of God Save the Queen, basically, the 45. But so Dave and I decided we were going to go see the Clash when we heard of that they were coming. I think it was on a weeknight. I don't remember. I think it was like on a Monday night or something. And, we both had classes the next day, so we couldn't really stay up too late. But we stayed until the end of the concert. And there was a lot of people. I remember there was about 15,000 people, I think. It was a big stadium. It was a football stadium. So it was basically the stadium where the San Francisco 49ers played before they switched over to their new stadium now it's in China Basin, but it was in someplace else then. But we got there, and we had, like I said, we had pretty much nosebleed seats. We were way up in the higher decks, but you could still see the stage. You could still see the bands, and you could hear them. The Cramps were great. I've always liked the Cramps. They did all my their great rockabilly hits, Hypno Sex Ray and Goo Goo Muck and Garbage Man and Human Fly. I always loved that line from Human Fly. I got 96 tears and 96 eyes. I love that. Really, the Cramps at their best. I think they had only done 2 or 3 albums at the time. Really, the best quote-unquote psychobilly band that there ever was. I was sorry to hear that Lux Interior passed away last year. Her real name was Eric Puchheiser. He passed away last year. I'm not sure. I think Ivy Rorschach is still alive. But then the Dead Kennedys came out, and I had only become aware of them when I moved to San Francisco, and I found a copy of, it was a punk magazine. It was talking about punk singles, and one of them it said that was really great was California Uralis, and I picked that single up at Tower Records in San Francisco, and I really liked it, and I picked up a couple more of their singles. The album I don't think was out yet. It came out about the same time. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables came out their first album came out about the same time, and it had all those great songs on it. I noted that there was actually a different drummer on the single than the drummer East Bay Ray, who played with them at the concert, and who had a slightly different style, but still very good. Still got that staccato, drum style on the California Overalls that I always liked. And of course, later on, the band The Melvins did sort of a reprise of that song when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor, and they were making fun of him. And I think that was really, really funny. Then they did a really good set. They did all their all the great songs that they had out at the time. which weren't really I think they only played about 10 songs. I think they only had about 10 songs, and I think they did a couple of covers too, but I don't really remember. And then, of course, the Clash came out and they did their very long set, which consisted of basically all their hits from the first album, White Riot and Janie Jones and I'm So Bored with the USA, and others, and a couple of covers, and basically all the songs on Give 'Em Enough Rope, Tommy Gun, English Civil War, Working for the Clampdown, Drug Stabbing Time, which I always thought was a great name for a song, and every other song on the album. Really terrific concert, and I've always thought of, when I think of punk rock, and the British punk rock, I should say, from the 1970s, I think of, two or three bands as being the top. Obviously, the Sex Pistols were number one. They started the whole thing. The Clash I look at as number two. The Damned. It could be argued that the Damned were really the second best punk band at the time, and they came out with the first punk single, New Rose, which came out even before Anarchy in the UK. But again, I never got to see the Damned. I never got to see the Cramp, the UK Subs, or the Adverts, or Anti-Nowhere League, or the Slits, or X-Ray Specs, all of whom were really good English punk bands of the first wave of punk. But I always thought of the Sex Pistols is number one, the Clash is number two, until the Clash started selling out. I mean, I'm sorry, Rock the Casbah, that's not punk. That's bullshit. But I liked everything up until then. And so I was really very pleased to see them. Really great concert, and a great memory of a different period of time, and a different period in music when things were starting to turn around. And punk had already, in some ways, by 1979, started to burn out a bit. There were, of course, great bands that came afterwards, the more modern punk bands like Green Day and, Blink-182 and people of that sort. And, of course, you had the LA bands, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, DNA, and all those people coming along. But, again, I'm sorry if I'm missing anybody's favorite band. I can't list everybody. But, so it was interesting to see the Clash in 1979 at the time where punk had basically peaked, and then it started sort of forming over to new wave. Even at that time, Adam and the Ants, who had started out harder, had started to slip into more poppy kind of sounding stuff, as can be heard on Kings of the Wild Frontier, which is one of my favorite albums. But it's not really hard, what I would call hard punk, original punk. Again, Adam was in at the beginning, and they played gigs with the Pistols in London. Actually, I think Adam Ant, real name is Stuart Goddard, helped set up amps at one of the first Pistols shows, and of course he was also in the band Bazooka Joe, who the Pistols opened for Bazooka Joe at St. Martin's College on that first gig that they did in 1976. So there you go. That's my reminiscence of the Clash at Kezar Stadium in 1979.